Welcome everyone. As we learn this Erev Shabbos, the Mishna Yomis, where we start the fifth parak of Bava, fifth parak already. Halfway through the Masechta, as we are sponsored, L'ilui Nishmas Harav David ben Rab Chaim, L'ilui Nishmas Rav Yaakov Yosef ben Rab Dov, for Shalem for Yomis ben Chayei for the schus of Rav Yom ben Yom ben Nishma Malk Yudas and family, by the Fisher family, L'ilui Nishmas Basya Bas Rabbi Shalom ben Avram Alevi Perel Bas Ruvain, and Shama should have an Aliyah by Yoel Klugman for his Parnasa, his family's Parnasa Gesundta and Nachas, for we learn for Avigdor ben Rivka, Esther Fradel Bas Chana, and Meir ben Chayei, they should have a refuah shalema b'seg shachar Yisrael. So the Mishnah tells us in the beginning of the fifth parak, Shor shenogach es hapara, an ox gored a cow. Let's say Reuven's ox gored Shimon's cow. V'nimtza ubra b'tzida, and we find its fetus dead alongside it. Now we don't know, did the fetus miscarry before it was gored, and then Reuven is not responsible? Or did it miscarry because it was gored, and then Reuven is responsible for the fetus as well? Now, this was a short time that pays a chatzi nezek. Now, this Mishnah is going according to the Sumchis, who holds mammon amutel b'safek cholken, money that is in a questionable circumstances, the two sides split it. And therefore, again, Shor shenogach esapar, Reuven shor gored Shimon's cow, and we find the cow's fetus alongside. And we don't know if it miscarried before it was gored, and then Reuven is not responsible for the fetus, or it miscarried after it was gored, and then Reuven is responsible not just for the cow but also for the fetus. So Mishalem Chatzi Nezek Lapara, he pays a half a nezek for a cow. In other words, he definitely damaged the cow, and since it's a tam, he pays half damages for the cow. Or Ravia Nezek Lavlot, he pays only a quarter for the fetus, because if he would be responsible for the fetus, he would pay a half. Since we don't know, maybe it miscarried before it was gored, so they split it, and he only pays a quarter. Now, the next part of the Mishnah is must know that in order to collect damages for a tam, you only get to collect from the body of the animal that did the damage. So v'chein para shenokcha es hashar. In this case, Reuven's cow gored Shimon's ox. Now, Shimon's ox was very expensive, but since it's a tam, Shimon could only collect from the body of the mazik, from the body of the damaging animal. And in this case, the nimtz of lada betzida, the cow, we found the fetus alongside it. Now, we don't know if the fetus was inside when it gored, and if it was inside when it gored, then Shimon could collect not just from the body of the cow, but also from the body of the fetus. If it miscarried before, then he could only collect from the body of the cow. We don't know if the cow gave birth before the goring, and therefore you cannot collect from the body of the child because it wasn't part of the goring, or if it gored, if it gave birth after it gored, and therefore Shimon could collect also from the body of the child. So Mishalem Chatzi Nezek Menapara, he gets half damages from the body of the cow. If that's not enough to replenish for the ox that was damaged, he could also take Revia Nezek Menavlad, a quarter of the damage from the child, because there is a possibility that the child was also part of the goring, but since it was possible it was born before, you can only take a quarter of a nezek from the body of the child. Hakader, a potter, sheichnes kedei roisav lechatza. Let's say Marshall brought his pots into my courtyard without permission. So Hakader sheichnes kedei roisav lechatza balavayis shaloi b'rishus. Marshall brought his pots into my courtyard without permission. Vishibarton behemtoi shel balabayis, and my animal breaks it, potter. Why should I be chayiv? I never gave him permission to bring it in. On the other hand, v'im huskaben, if my animal gets damaged on his pots, balak teres chayiv. Marshal, owner of the pots, is responsible because his pots shouldn't have been in my courtyard. V'im ichnis b'rishus, but if Marshal had permission to bring his pots into my courtyard. Now, the Tana of our Mishna holds that with permission, I accept responsibility for Marshal's pots, then Baal Chotzer Chayiv. Then if my animal damaged the pot, I would be responsible. On the other hand, if my animal gets damaged by the pots, Marshal would be potter because he had permission to put the pots there. Similarly, the same idea in the next case. If Marshal put fruit into my field, he put a bushel of apples in my field without permission, and my animal ate the pots, and my animal ate the fruit, butter, because he had no permission to put the fruit there. If my animal slips on them and hurts himself, Marshal is chayiv because he had no right to bring the fruit on my property. But if Marshal had permission to bring the fruit in, then if my animal eats it, I am chayiv, balachotzer chayiv, and likewise, if my animal slips on the fruit, Marshal would be potter because he had permission to bring them in there. We want to thank you very much for joining us. Welcome. Remember, it's a little earlier next week, as Motzei Shabbos shir will be at 10 to. Shir is at 10 to 10, and next week, during the week, Daf Yomi is at 8:15. That's by going to zoomdaf.com and putting in meeting code 914408. We are looking for a sponsor for next week's Re'eh Shir, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful Shabbos.